This is a Mike Phoenix
Dueling Guide.
Hi everyone, it's Mike Phoenix. This is my updated hero deck post Power of the Elements. There were two main cards from that set that I added, and I changed some of my cards. Let's get started. The first Elemental Hero is triple copy of Elemental Hero Stratos. Obviously he's one of the most famous hero cards. He's a searcher. Late game, he can help you clear back row since you can destroy spell and traps based on number of heroes, excluding him. If you're going to summon him, you're typically trying to get Faris or get the discard for Faris. Next is Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. She's mostly used when you special summon her and you search Mass Change, so that's how you get your Mass Change for Dark Law. You send her to the graveyard and you're not going to summon her that turn, you can have a free searcher. I changed her back to 2 because with this deck, I don't feel like having her in the hand is a bad thing. And obviously she can be summoned with a hero lives, which is no longer limited. So yeah, I'm okay with having her back to 2. The last Elemental Hero in the main deck is Elemental Hero Liquid Soldier. And you're just going to summon him, normal summon him to special summon your Shadow Mist. That's simply the combo, because when you summon Shadow Mist from the graveyard, you can search Mass Change. Also, if you don't use that effect that turn and you use him to fuse, you basically have like a mini Graceful Charity. So you can get another card, or you get 2 cards, discard 1. Next is Destiny Hero Plasma, which is basically a walking skill drain. This card is good going second, not first, because if you go first, you can't use its effect to absorb an enemy's monster. And base stats, it only has 1900, which is, most monsters can easily beat that. But even so, having that skill drain on the field might even prevent your enemy from having or summoning high attack monsters. Next are 2 copies of Malicious, and again, Malicious is semi-limited, so you can have 3. Basically, if it's in the graveyard, you can summon a copy of itself, so it's very useful for plays. Plus, it's needed for summoning cards like DPE. Ever since Burst of Destiny, Destiny Hero Denier has been in most hero decks because it basically acts as a third Malicious. You basically can send one of the banished Malicious back to your deck, and then you can reuse the effect of the one that's in your graveyard. So yeah, so you're essentially running 3 Malicious because of this. You might even be able to use its effect more than once, so you can recycle the Malicious more than once. Ever since DPE, I've seen Destiny Hero Dark Angel be included in decks, and I thought it was time to include it in mine. Basically, if you don't know what this card does, if you have 3 Destiny Heroes in your graveyard, you can send this to the graveyard, and then you target it, and then summon it to your opponent's field, and they can, if they activate spell cards, it gets negated and destroyed. So enemies will sometimes just forfeit the map. Next, for the Vision Heroes, you play triple copy of Faris. Basically, you discard a hero from your hand and you can special summon him, and then that's how you get your combo all the way up to Cross Crusader. Then the basic standard hero combo, this is what you need to start it. Next is Vision Hero Increase, which I decreased to 1. I used to have it at 2. I don't really want this card in my hand, so I decreased it to 1 to lower the chances a little. If it is in my hand, it's not the worst thing, but I think it should be played at 1. Next is Vision Hero Vyron. I've always run it at 2. I've never ran it at 3, and I still think it should be ran at 2. Basically, it's needed to send either Malicious or Shadow Mist to the graveyard, and that's how you get, your hero combo off with Cross Crusader and Increase. So yeah, definitely run it at 2. Again, if you open it in your hand, you can, normal summon it and send something to the graveyard, so it's not the worst thing. In the newest card from Power of the Elements, I added Crosskeeper to my deck. Basically, you can send this card from the field or your hand to the graveyard, and then you can special summon 1 Elemental Hero or Neospatian, but Neospatian doesn't matter for this deck, from your hand or graveyard. But if it's from the graveyard, the effects are negated. So basically, if you have like Shadow Mist in your hand, or Stratos, or another Elemental Hero, you can use this to summon it. So basically, he kind of replaces Solid Soldier, but its second effect is kind of useful too, where if you fusion summon an elemental hero, you can banish this card from your graveyard and you draw 2 cards, but you do have to put a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck, which drawing the 2 cards is going to be very useful. But yeah, this is why I replaced Solid Soldier. I've always been an advocate for it, but I just feel this card is better song. Even though it's now unlimited, I run 2 A Hero Lives, and I run 2 because I just shown I play Crosskeeper. I feel like running 3 is useful if you're not going to try to summon from the hand, but again, if you get a Shadow Mist from in your hand or Stratos, without Solid Soldier, you need something to summon it. So basically I have 2 ways to summon from the deck, and then I can summon from my hand using Crosskeep. Next is triple mass change. Decide to get your mass heroes out. Definitely have it at 3. I would never recommend it having less than 3. This is your best way to get Dark Law, best way to get Blast, Acid. Any of those heroes, mass heroes, you need mass change, and running at 3 is awesome. Fusion Destiny, I run it at 2. If I could run it at 3, I would, but of course, it got semi-limited due to DPE and people crying. But regardless, run the 2. You can use this to summon Dangerous, which is going to help you get Dark Law out, or you can just summon DPE. Next is 2 Polys. Most people run 1, but I run 2 now. And as you see my previous decks, I don't use Wonder Driver, I don't use Dread Decimator, and without Wonder Driver you can't get this back. But I feel like just drawing it or just having it in your deck and being able to search it, because you do have 2 Vyrons, you can search it, is pretty useful. And if you have one in your hand, again, that's not the worst thing, because you can hopefully summon DPE or another fusion monster. Next is the 1 Miracle Fusion. I have it at 1. I don't think having more than 1 is good. Basically, Sunrise can search this card, and then once you search it, you're gonna either summon Absolute Zero. That's typically the main card we summon, but you can summon Escuridao or any other of the Omni heroes. But next is the 3 Super Polys. I run 3 because it's unlimited now. I know, people are upset at this card, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna play the cards that help me win, and Super Poly is one of those cards. So yeah, extra deck, you're gonna have Super Poly targets plus the Omni heroes, so getting a Super Poly is gonna be very useful going second and clearing up your opponent's board. I wanted 1 Rhoda now, and I took out the Emergency Call because Rhoda is searching a warrior, which now includes the 2 Destiny heroes that you were not able to search before with the Emergency Call. Now you can search Dark Angel and Denier, plus the elemental heroes. Which next is Foolish Burial, and basically you can use it to send either Shadow Mist or Malicious or Denier to the graveyard. I wouldn't really use Denier, but if needed, Foolish Burial can send it there, and those 3 cards have graveyard effects, so that's why you kind of want to send them. Next is 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Really no explanation needed. Everyone hates this card, everyone loves this card. But yeah, using it against your opponent is very useful and might give you the chance to stay alive. Next is Called by the Grave. I could run 3. I probably would run 3, but it's limited, so you can run 1. And again, this is quote unquote the most toxic card in the game, but I'm still going to use it because, as you know, TCG players, if it's not banned, we all try to use it. And this is a prime example. Everyone should run this in their decks, and I think most people are. The only people that aren't are, trying to be on a high horse or something. But to win game, to round off my deck, I have Lightning Storm, Forbidden Droplet, and Triple Tactics Talent, TTT. Honestly, from what I've seen, I think I would take out Lightning Storm or Forbidden Droplet for TTT, but I don't have any more Triple Tactics Talent other than the one I have showing you right now. So I just kind of put Forbidden Droplet, which still can be useful, and Lightning Storm to get rid of back row or monster row going second. Start off the extra deck. I run 2 extra hero Cross Crusaders. I've ran it at 2 before. I've ran it at 1. I think in this meta, I think having it at 2 is good again. But basically, if you have a Destiny hero, summon it, tribute it, and you get to search a card. This is typically in your base combo. This is what you use to search Liquid Soldier, so then you can summon it and then get Shadow Mist and Mass Change and all that stuff. Now for one of my favorite monsters, though most people hate this card, Mass Hero Dark Law. Basically, it's Dimension Shifter, but on your opponent, as long as this card is up. Plus, if your opponent draws a card outside of the draw phase or damage step, you randomly select a card and it's discarded, which also gets banished, or I think it straight up says banished. But yeah, I run one now instead of two. I've never really summoned the second one, and if I have, it hasn't really helped me win. It has helped me win, but not because of the effect, just because I had the extra damage. Next is Mass Hero Acid, which basically when summoned destroys their back row and their monsters lose 300 attack. And basically, you're gonna summon it off of Absolute Zero, because Absolute Zero will destroy their monster row. Yeah, so pretty good card to have. Next is Mass Hero Blast, and basically it's just a target for Stratos. If they're gonna affect either your Stratos, you can, if you have a mass change, play it, change it to Blast, and then you can still pop off Stratos' effect. Next is Destiny Hero Dangerous. It's basically a target for Fusion Destiny, plus if you know the right combo, you can summon Dark Law, and basically you can get Dark Law on the field. Next is DBE, which is no longer a meta card because they banned Verde, but in this deck, you know, the hero deck, you should always run DBE because it will mess up people's plays and such. And you can either summon it with Poly, which we have, or Fusion Destiny if you have it in your hand. Next is Sunrise, which is just two heroes with different attributes. Basically, you summon it and you get your Miracle Fusion, which then you can summon Elemental Hero. So next up are all the Super Poly targets. We'll start off with the Omni Heroes, and this one is Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, which is one of the better ones because its materials is one hero monster. The other ones say one Elemental Hero, but this is a generic hero. And one water monster, so if your opponent's playing Sharks or any water-based, you know, decks, or just water monsters in their deck, you can Super Poly if you have that. And when this leaves the field, all your opponent's monsters are destroyed. Next is Elemental Hero Escuridao. I think it's one of the weaker ones because its effect just buffs it out, but it doesn't really do anything to your opponent. But basically, you need one Elemental Hero, one Dark Monster, and most people play Dark Monsters. So having Super Poly and targeting one of their Dark Monsters is going to be useful. Next is Elemental Hero Great Tornado, and it's one Elemental Hero, one Wind, and I'm thinking about Wind, and I think Apopalooza is going to be the best target for this. And when it's summoned, you have the attack and defense of all face up monsters, so you can try to beat over your opponents just by attacking. The next Super Poly target that's non-hero is Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and as you know, it's just two dark monsters, non-tokens, and basically you're just going to target two dark monsters in your opponent's field if they should have to. And when this card is destroyed, it destroys all special summon monsters on your opponent's field. Next up is Pedra Plant Dragostapelia. I definitely butchered the name, but basically it's one fusion monster, one dark monster, and then its effect is I put a counter and it can activate its effects, stuff like that, on your opponent. But basically now, I think Despia, or it might be branded, I always forget the name, but there's a lot more fusion monsters people are playing in the meta, and this is a way to target the fusion monster without caring about its attribute. And Dark Monster, they should have one, or if not, you can use one of your heroes if needed. Next is Madragon of the Swamp, and the materials are two monsters with the same attribute but different types. So example, like two water monsters, but one could be a warrior and the other one has to be something else like Aqua. Basically, your opponent cannot target cards or monsters on the field with the same attribute as his card, and once per turn, or with card effects, and then once per turn you can change the attribute of this card. So I would, you know, from this deck, basically change it to dark so they can't target your Dark Law and other stuff. But again, it depends what you have, or again, like DPE can be targeted because if you change this to dark, DPE is dark, so it's protected from card effects. Next is the newest card from Power of the Elements, which is Garura, Wings of the Resonant Life. And basically you need two monsters with the same type and attribute but different names. And typically your opponent's decks are going to have that. For example, Sprite, all of them are Dark Thunder. And I'm trying to think of other decks, but I feel like for most decks, the monsters are out to try to get the boss monsters are the same type and an attribute. So, you know, if you see 2 Sprite, maybe it's like, okay, let's super poly them to no longer have material on their field, as an example. And I definitely think this is very useful. I know for super poly decks, hero decks, they have the shining. I took out the shining. I feel like if they have light, they probably have more than 1 light monster, and this card would take care of it. If it doesn't, I feel like if you lose to light, then just accept it. But I feel like this card would do more good for you than Elemental Hero the Shining. For the side deck, I'm gonna show most of the cards. I don't have the multiple copies that I need, but I will run 3 Evenly Match is a good card going second. Harpy Feather Duster, run at 1. It's good for cleaning the back row. Dark Ruler No More, you should have 3 copies. Very good going second. Twin Twister, again, is a card for clearing the back row. So I mentioned Barrier, stops your opponent from summoning 1 type of monster. You know, very useful. You should run at 3 going second. Or it could be good going first, because then if you can place it, activate it, you know, their opponent's turn, they won't be able to summon stuff. Then Rare Reboot, run at 1 because it's limited. And then for the 15th card, I haven't decided what's good for this meta yet. I've had people say Change of Heart, which I don't agree, or maybe 1 Forbidden Droplet. But I've been using the Wind Dragon to Raw Spear mode, just because more people are mindful of Nibiru, so they're not summoning 5 monsters anymore, so Nibiru is not very good this meta. Maybe Kaiju might be another card you can replace Wind Dragon in a Raw Spear mode, but as of right now, the 15th card, that's what I would pick, but you should be able, you know, use whatever you have or what you think is useful, you know, for your locals or, you know, nationals, whatever you're going for. As always, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe, you know, leave a like and comment. Let me know what you guys want to see next time. Thank you.